Mark Zuckerberg built one of the most powerful technology empires in human history, controlling the social media interactions of nearly 4 billion people across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Now, the United States government stands poised to dismantle that empire entirely. The Federal Trade Commission has launched what could become the most consequential antitrust case of the digital age, threatening not just Meta's business model, but the fundamental structure of how technology companies operate in the modern economy. Welcome to Artificial Fluency Technology. Today, we examine the federal lawsuit that could force Meta to divest Instagram and WhatsApp, fundamentally altering the social media landscape and establishing precedents that will reshape the entire technology industry. The stakes extend far beyond one company's future to questions about market concentration, consumer choice, and the appropriate limits of corporate power in the digital economy. The Federal Trade Commission's lawsuit against Meta represents the culmination of years of investigation into the company's acquisition strategy and competitive practices. The government's central allegation centers on what regulators describe as a systematic pattern of eliminating competition through strategic acquisitions rather than competing on the merits of superior products or services. The case focuses primarily on Meta's acquisitions of Instagram in 2012 and WhatsApp in 2014, purchases that cost the company $1 billion and $19 billion respectively. Federal regulators argued that these acquisitions were not motivated by legitimate business synergies or technological innovation, but rather by a deliberate strategy to prevent potential competitors from challenging Facebook's dominance in social networking. According to court filings, internal communications from Meta executives revealed discussions about acquiring companies specifically to neutralize competitive threats. The FTC has presented evidence suggesting that company leadership viewed Instagram and WhatsApp not as complementary services, but as potential existential threats that needed to be controlled rather than competed against. The government's legal theory extends beyond these specific acquisitions to encompass what regulators characterize as a broader pattern of anti-competitive behavior. This includes allegations that Meta has used its market position to impose restrictive terms on developers, limit interoperability with competing platforms, and leverage its user base to coerce partners into exclusive arrangements. Federal prosecutors argued that Meta's conduct has resulted in reduced innovation, limited consumer choice, and higher costs for advertisers who have fewer alternatives for reaching large audiences. The case represents a fundamental challenge to the acquisition-driven growth strategy that has characterized much of the technology industry over the past 2 decades. The legal proceedings have already revealed internal documents that paint a concerning picture of Meta's competitive strategy. Email communications between executives discuss viewing potential competitors as threats to be neutralized rather than challenges to be met through superior innovation or customer service. The Meta antitrust case follows a well-established pattern of federal intervention in technology markets when companies achieve positions of overwhelming market dominance. The most prominent historical precedent involves the Department of Justice's case against Microsoft in the late 1990s, which challenged the company's bundling of Internet Explorer with Windows and its restrictive licensing agreements with computer manufacturers. The Microsoft case ultimately resulted in a settlement that imposed significant behavioral restrictions on the company and created space for competitors like Google to emerge and challenge Microsoft's dominance in Internet services. Similarly, Google has faced multiple antitrust challenges related to its search engine dominance and advertising practices, resulting in ongoing regulatory oversight and substantial financial penalties. The Meta case represents a significant escalation in the government's approach to technology antitrust enforcement. Unlike previous cases that focused primarily on behavioral remedies and ongoing oversight, the FTC is seeking structural remedies that would require Meta to divest major business units entirely. This aggressive approach reflects a broader shift in regulatory thinking about the appropriate response to market concentration in digital industries. Traditional antitrust analysis has struggled to address markets where services are provided free to consumers, making it difficult to demonstrate direct consumer harm through higher prices. The Meta case signals that regulators are increasingly willing to consider broader theories of competitive harm, including reduced innovation, decreased privacy protection, and limited consumer choice.
This evolution in legal theory could have profound implications for other technology companies that have pursued similar acquisition-driven growth strategies. If the Federal Trade Commission prevails in its case against Meta, the consequences would extend far beyond the immediate impact on the company itself. A forced divestiture of Instagram and WhatsApp would create two independent social media platforms competing directly with Facebook, fundamentally altering the competitive dynamics of the entire industry. The financial implications for Meta would be substantial, as Instagram and WhatsApp represent core components of the company's advertising revenue and user engagement metrics. Instagram alone generates approximately $30 billion in annual revenue for Meta, representing nearly one-third of the company's total income. WhatsApp, while currently generating limited direct revenue, provides Meta with access to over 2 billion users worldwide and serves as a crucial platform for the company's messaging and business communication strategies. Beyond the immediate financial impact, a successful government case would establish precedents that could affect acquisition strategies across the technology industry. Companies would face increased scrutiny for purchases of potential competitors, potentially limiting the exit opportunities for startup companies and venture capital investors who have historically relied on acquisitions by large technology platforms. The creation of independent Instagram and WhatsApp platforms could accelerate innovation in social media by introducing genuine competition for user attention and advertiser spending. Independent platforms might pursue different privacy policies, content moderation approaches, or monetization strategies than those currently imposed by Meta's unified corporate structure. However, divestiture could also create new challenges, including potential interoperability issues between platforms that currently share infrastructure and data. Users who currently benefit from integrated messaging and content sharing across Meta's platforms might experience reduced functionality if the services operate independently.
The Federal Trade Commission's antitrust case against Meta represents more than a legal challenge to one company's business practices. The case embodies fundamental questions about market power, innovation, and consumer welfare in the digital economy that will influence technology regulation for decades to come. Whether Meta ultimately prevails or faces forced divestiture, the case has already demonstrated the federal government's willingness to challenge even the most powerful technology companies when their conduct appears to threaten competitive markets. The outcome will establish important precedents for how antitrust law applies to digital platforms and acquisition strategies in the modern economy. Thank you for joining us on Artificial Fluency Technology as we continue to monitor developments in this landmark case and their implications for the broader technology industry.